So 2.1 energy systems, response to exercise, physiology. So ATP, also known as adenosine triphosphate, contains bonds that are potential energy stores. These can be broken down by an enzyme called ATPase. This enzyme breaks the bonds between phosphate chains, which produces energy. It's an exothermic reaction, so it gives off heat. This energy is used for muscle contraction in the silent filament theory, sort of shown here. This ATP. One ATP can sustain this for 3 seconds. Once the bond breaks, ATP turns into ADP and needs to be resynthesized in order for it to be reused for muscle contraction. For it to be resynthesized, energy is required. There are 3 main ways in resynthesizing ATP, but we're going to look at 2 just now. So there is the phosphocreatine system. So phosphocreatine is a long, high energy bond that's held together and kept in the muscles. Creatine kinase enzyme is used to break down the bond and release energy for resynthesizing ATP. As it's stored in the muscles, PC is ready immediately, and therefore it's one of the first solutions for high intensity activity. However, it only lasts for around 8 seconds, so the energy supply is very short, so it can only be sustained for a short period of time. So phosphocreatine and ATP combined is only about 10 seconds of high intensity work. The next system is the anaerobic glycolysis system. It comes from the breakdown of glycogen into glucose using the enzyme GPP, then glucose into pyruvic acid using the enzyme PFK. When there is no oxygen present, lactic acid starts to build up in the place of oxygen, because obviously it's an anaerobic system. The lactic acid produced here lowers the pH in the muscles, which makes the enzymes denature because the enzymes can't work. They have an optimum pH of 7, and so when it's lowered by the hydrogen ions in the acid, they can't work as well. The active sites change, so they're no longer specific to those molecules, so the system can't function properly anymore, basically. But overall, this system produces 2 ATP, a net worth of 2 ATP before lactic acid builds up. So we did 2 tests for these energy systems. The first one being the multi-stage fitness test. Now, during the multi-stage fitness test, the intensity starts off low and builds up to finish on high intensity. The first 3 seconds of the test use up the ATP store in the muscle. Then phosphocreatine system is recruited to resynthesize the ATP as it is ready available in the muscles and is the dominant system. This keeps the ATP synthesized for 7 seconds. The glycolytic system then takes over and becomes a dominant system for roughly 2 minutes. This is shown by the small increase of lactic acid at level 4. Then the aerobic system takes over for the remaining of the low intensity levels. However, as the intensity starts to increase again, the glycolytic system becomes dominant again, and so the body works anaerobically as it does not have enough oxygen in the body to work aerobically. This is when the lactic acid builds up largely and begins to affect the enzymes of the performer, meaning they can no longer continue as they are tired. This is shown on the graph here. As the blood lactate goes from 10 millimoles to 21.6, which is obviously a significant increase caused by the increase of intensity. So a fitter athlete will be able to delay the OBLA here of the lactic acid increase till later on, meaning they can work aerobically for longer without the lactic acid starting to build up. So the other test we did was the Wingate test. The Wingate test is an example of an exercise with high intensity but a low duration. The high intensity means that the body is without oxygen for the duration of the exercise, therefore it works anaerobically. ATP stores are used up in the first 3 seconds, then phosphocreatine is recruited for the next 7 seconds of the exercise. When this runs out, the body relies on the glycolytic system for the next 20 seconds to finish the test. This causes lactic acid in the body to build up to 9 mmol, as shown in the bar chart. So this is due to the lactic acid buildup from the glycolytic system. This causes the fatigue in the muscles and makes it hard for the athlete to keep the maximal intensity longer for 30 seconds, which is the duration of the test. So if we were to apply this to a sport, in football, the dominant energy system for a player varies throughout the match. So if we take a striker, which both these players are, I think, a striker uses quick short bursts of energy when making runs and taking shots on goal. These movements are high intensity but for short duration periods. Therefore, the ATP/PC system and the aerobic glycolysis system will dominate and switch between the two, which is also known as interplay between the two systems. So yeah, that's here when the player is active and running about using lots of energy. However, when the ball is not on their end of the pitch, the striker has time to rest and get more oxygen to body using the aerobic system, which helps to prevent the buildup of lactic acid from the glycolysis system, which is shown here. So when they're not doing high intensity movements, the aerobic system becomes dominant for low intensity active rest periods while they wait for the defenders and midfielders to get the ball back. This demonstrates how the energy systems interplay with each other and change depending on the level of intensity the exercise is. Thank you for listening.